Hi, my name is Yasmin Tarehi, and this is Startup Confessionals, where we interview startup founders and entrepreneurs in the Middle East and Africa. We'll learn about some of the biggest lessons these founders discovered on their journey, from the personal to the professional, and share how they keep themselves motivated. In this episode with Nadine Karadag, we will learn about her search for good health and well-being, which led her to launch Valeo, the latest startup in Dubai's health technology space. This app promises its users a simple, personalized solution that allows them to schedule health tests, receive detailed results, and get well-rounded support from the best international well-being experts, all from the comfort of their own homes. Welcome to the show, Nadine. It's so lovely to have you on.
Thank you, Yasmin. So lovely to be here.
Yeah, likewise. And Nadine, can you kick it off and tell us, in your words and in your perspective, what the value proposition is for Valeo?
Yes, sure. Valeo was born out of a personal struggle. I would say I come from a background that is in finance and private equity. So I really took the leap to the health tech, well-being tech, knowing that there's really a gap in the market. To tell you a bit of where the struggle came, I found myself at a very young age with a lot of responsibilities and a very highly stressful job, which led to being sick and going to doctors, being diagnosed with a couple of pre-chronic diseases. I was 27 at that time. So the medical world, the healthcare world, did their job of diagnosing me, giving me my medication. But on the other hand, nobody asked me, okay, do you have a stressful job? What are you eating? How are you moving? And then out of curiosity and me wanting to feel better, I started meeting with different nutritionists, dietitian, functional medicine. When you're desperate and you're not feeling well, you really are going for trying out as many things as possible. So went to London, New York, LA, and it was, two sides of it. Either you're paying a lot of money and taking a lot of supplements and eating they cut you off all food, or you're talking to people that have very basic training. And while going through that journey, I met my health coach right now, Jamie, who's also one of the co-founders of Valeo. And it was like a 2-year journey where I got to know myself, my body. I tested my blood test all the time, my biomarkers, understood my trends. And with him, I managed to go from, let's say, being pre-diabetic, pre-arthritis, to climbing a mountain in Kyrgyzstan. So just living that experience and seeing what was the gap in the market, we launched Valeo. So Valeo, the value proposition of Valeo is to make it very convenient, impactful, customized, and affordable to take care of yourself.
Wow, that is quite the journey, Nadine. Wow, I love that you transform your life and also want to provide this access to so many people. So can you talk a little bit more about the product itself? So you talk about how you were able to see your biomarkers and able to see how your, blood test results look like. So is that what you're sort of tracking the health data for people individually, or do you make it easy for them to access things like taking blood tests, which is so funny because a lot of people almost never do that, but it's such an important part of understanding your health in real time. So I'm just curious, how does the app actually work? Like if I was to go in today and, you could talk about it even at a more future state, at version 2, what you plan for the app to be as well.
Sure. We want the app to definitely be a 360 comprehensive well-being solution in your pocket itself. So everything that has to do with your well-being, you'll be able to access it through Valeo. And to add credibility to that, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. Like the word well-being could sound very fluffy, and that's where we see the opportunity, right? We want to add credibility to that. Finding safe, well thought out scientifically based lifestyle education from a trusted health coach is currently extremely hard. But we all know that also receiving the right advice at the right time can change your life. So with Valeo, that's what we want to bring to you. And how is that done? And we really believe it's about bringing data and well-being together. And the data means your body is data. I find it very interesting when people say, I went for my yearly health check. It's like your yearly health check is actually a snapshot of your body at that day that you took that health check, right? But your body changes 365 days. It doesn't mean that, whatever picture you took of your body at that time remains like that for the whole year. So one of the things we want to bring is to make it very easy to test your body, to test. I mean, how you have the wearables now. People, I would say 2 years ago, if you told somebody how many steps you took today, you'll be like, I don't know, And then now it's like everybody can tell you to the dot, like I took 10,500 steps today. So I guess what we see is that in the future, people will know that, okay, my vitamin D levels are at this level. And this is my trend. And I feel my best when my vitamin D level is at that level. And so it's all about putting the data and well-being together. This is, I would say, our vision. But right now, what you can do is you can download the app, Valeo, on Apple or on Android. And we have the testing part of it. So we've got different packages of blood tests. We've also launched currently food intolerance tests. And we will be launching on a monthly basis a couple of different packages, educating people on what these tests do. And it's very convenient. So you buy it on the app, the nurse comes to your house, they do the test, then you receive it on the app digitally. So you have your dashboard of all your biomarkers, their different levels. Each biomarker is explained. And it's what we explain is more the lifestyle. So how does this biomarker affect your lifestyle? And how can you improve it with lifestyle changes? So everything that is non-medical, how can you change it with food? How can you change it with supplements? Or how can you change it with even your lifestyle? So vitamin D could be out in the sun. And the other part of the app is the coaching section. So we've actually connected some of the best well-being coaches from all around the world on the app. So you can have let's say a 3 month, 6 months, or a 12-month subscription to them, and you'll be able to chat with them, and also video. So you'll have Zoom calls every 2 weeks.
Wow. And is this available only in Dubai right now?
Right now, yes, only in the UAE, but of course we have plans to expand further.
Got it. Okay. Wow, fascinating. I love the idea of being able to analyze your data and really understand trends, because that, I think, is the key part. Like how does it compare to the last month and the month before that, as opposed to yearly, which is something I think a lot of people don't even do, yearly checkups. So yeah, it's so funny that we track almost everything in our life except our own health,
Exactly. I mean, that's what's funny, right? I mean, your well-being, the way you sleep, the way you feel, the way your stomach feels, is so important. But that part of it, the market itself, is so still untapped and not, you can. It's very hard to find credible, trusted brands. So that's what Valeo wants to bring.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that, at least in the West, and I imagine it's probably similar in your region, it feels like preventative care is not given as much weight, like until something, of course, tragic happens. And so I think it's the mindset shift. Like I think people are also starting to realize that, especially after the pandemic, like taking care
Yeah.
of yourself is really important, right? You want a very good immune system. So yeah, I'm just, curious how the, I guess, philosophy towards preventative care and well-being is received in the region. And do you think because I think in some cases when you're creating a product, there needs to be like an education shift as well as a product created. Like if people just need to be aware of how important this is. Because I think there's in the US, it feels like there's like some pockets and circles who believe in preventative care, but it just generally feels like a lot of people are not putting a lot of attention, time, and resources into prevention. So I'm just, curious, how that's perceived in the Middle East right now.
Definitely pre-COVID, I would say Valeo would have been a much harder sale. I guess, sometimes from bad things, good things happen. But I guess one thing the pandemic taught us is just to understand our bodies, right? I mean, immunity as a word, or vitamin D, or, zinc, all these things, nobody really took care of it, or vitamin C. But then after the pandemic, everybody's like, what's my vitamin D level? I should take zinc supplements. I should take vitamin C supplements. So definitely it's brought that to the discussion. PwC actually did a survey in the Middle East, and almost over 80% of the people have upped their focus on mental health and well-being. And when we looked at like the online sales, we all know that during COVID, online sales increased, but the highest growth actually came from fitness and wellness. There was a 76% jump. So the numbers show that people are more curious about their well-being. People want to give it more time. People are spending more money on it. And I think always shifts happen from the consumer, right? Preventive health, unfortunately, has been something in healthcare that it's something that is good to have. Um, but if you look at the research and if you look at the statistics, there was actually research done at the university in US, not in the Middle East, but it found that patients that had a health coach helping them saved around $412 per patient per month. I mean, multiply that with the number of people. It's unbelievable. It's just that right now the discussion has started. So I do hope in a couple of years preventive health will be more something that is like water and air, like something that we need. And one more thing is before, people lived on average till they were 70, 80, and now people are living till 90, 100. So even the discussion on longevity, on all this have started because people don't want to live 100 till 100, but being sick from 70 to 100, right? So people actually want to have a higher quality of life. And the only way you can do that is by preventing diseases.
Mm, that's powerful. Yeah. And I'm curious if your tests also include things like COVID testing.
No, not right now. We might start with COVID testing. We will actually launch a COVID recovery package. So it's more focused on people that have, let's say, gotten COVID, or even people that have really gotten a hit during the pandemic on their health, just sitting at home, eating a lot, not moving enough. So we will be launching packages that are related to COVID and recovery.
Amazing. Amazing. That's great. Yeah, I actually read a stat that in the US, on average, Americans gained about 16 pounds during the pandemic
Mm,
per person. So,
yes.
yeah, I think a lot of people probably, had no option to work out or to, take care of themselves in that way. So I love that you're offering that. And of course, it has like these long-term implications, right? Like everyone who's gotten COVID, I think is struggling at some level, right? Like there could be some residue, even if it's like very, very small, it shows up, right, in the long term. So I think that's great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. So Nadine, I want to talk a little bit about how your priorities are shifting after you got your round of funding. What was that like? And can you talk to us about what it's like to actually get a round of funding as a new founder?
Yes, it's definitely for us. It was an adventure, and we raised $3 million. Sandeep and I, my co-founder, he comes from a startup background, so this would be Valeo is his fourth startup. He's launched Lazada in Indonesia, where he sold it to Alibaba, and then launched two other startups that were also successful. So Valeo is his fourth baby. So I always tell him, don't forget, Valeo is your fourth baby and it's my first baby. so, so first baby is always different than the fourth baby. So to talk about Sandeep, so I met him in INSEAD during the MBA, and we've been friends for almost 10 years. And we had this tradition that him and I would meet every Thursday, 8 a.m. For breakfast, because he travels a lot. I used to travel. So it was a way for us to just catch up, talk about work. And we always knew we wanted to do something together. So we would always, like that 8 a.m., it was an hour of us just having coffee and discussing ideas. And he actually got COVID, and his health really took a hit. So I put him in touch with the health coach, and his health also got better, and he understood the importance of a health coach and testing. And then his wife too got in touch with a health coach and was testing at the same time. And then we're like, you know what, this is the gap in the market. This is what we need. There's nowhere that we can find the solution. So during COVID, we started working on it because we're all working from home, and it's at night and evening and you have nothing to do. So we just work on it. And basically we had the prototype product. And we started talking to investors. I come from an investment background. Sandeep, this is his fourth startup. So he's dealt and he's pitched to investors. So he already had investors that had previously invested in his startups. So we tapped to our network, and when you're talking to your co-founder, or when you're building an idea and building a product, you're always like tapping each other in the back and super excited about it. But then when you go to the market and you start pitching it, definitely you realize, you know what, maybe there are some things we didn't like take care of. But the more we pitch, the more we realize, no, I mean, there's really a strong idea here. And that's what Sandeep would say. He's like, Nadine, if we've been this long working on it and we still believe in it, it means it's a great idea. And with all pitching in the beginning, we honestly pitched to whoever wanted to listen to us. Like whoever wants to listen to us, we're there. We're pitching to them. And it was during COVID, so everyone is home. It's just a Zoom call. So we were like on a roll. I was on a roll. Like I was pitching to my friends right and left too. And they'd be like, Nadine, you're not in a pitch. But I'm like, okay, sorry. But to go back to the subject on fundraising, I would say Sandeep's network of coming from startup, selling successfully already a company to Alibaba definitely played a huge role when we were pitching, because it's basically about the co-founders and the idea you're pitching. And for me too, coming from an investment background, knowing how to pitch, having the network, it really helped. And I always say in these, to Sandeep, when we raised the 3 million, and we're like, wow, it happened in almost 3-4 months. And he's like, we're talking about it and we're like, wow, I can't believe we closed in 3-4 months. And I told him, I'm like, if you think about it, every person that we pitched to and that put money in us, we've known them for a while. You've known them for a while, or I've known them for a while. So we actually have been pitching this for years, but the actual money came now. And so that was for us the experience.
Wow. I love that. I love that you said that we've been pitching this for years. And I think in some sense, like we're always, meeting people in our network that will remember us if we do start a company later anyways, right? There's always this relationship building dynamic that doesn't just like happen one day when you're like, oh, I have a great idea. Let me go find someone to talk to about it. So
exactly.
That's brilliant.
I think a part of like, not to sound, I do think everything is also business, but there's the life or coincidences that happen. You realize like the people you meet at a certain time, the experiences you have at a certain time, all gets together at the right time. And so I guess with Valeo, we felt like just all the cards were played at the right time.
I love that. And I actually want to go back to the comment you made before starting the company with, remind me your co-founder's name?
Sandeep.
Sandeep. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that every Thursday we would meet at 8 a.m. and have breakfast, and you knew you wanted to work on something together. So I'm just curious, like, how did you transition from it being a dream or an idea, like because I think a lot of people say that, like, oh, we should start something together one day. Like, there's a lot of like talented people that come together with different skill sets who always have these dreams. But how did you transition that dream into a reality? Was it the idea? Was it the actual business plan and concept, or was it sort of the timing?
I think definitely, for example, Valeo was not the first idea I had. I always wanted to set up something, and I've always thought a million and one ideas. I think with Valeo, it was more, and as Sandeep says, is just that the more we spoke about it, the more we talked about it, the more we researched on it, the more we started seeing the prototype, and the more we believed in it. So it was actually, I wouldn't say that day one we believed so much in it, and then today we believe less in it. I would say day one maybe we believed less in it, and today we believe even more in it. And the whole COVID thing, the post-COVID thing, with people just becoming more curious about their well-being, wanting it to be convenient at home. So nobody really wants to go to a hospital or a clinic to give their blood right now. So people have become more comfortable of having a nurse coming home, getting their blood. And also people realizing that they want something that's customized to them. So it's not anymore one size fits all advice. It's like, okay, I want to understand how my body reacts to things. So I do think the idea itself also has to survive all these ups and downs of life.
Right, right. Oh, I love that. And Nadine, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges you might have faced on this journey. And of course, I know you guys are on the earlier side of the launch, right? So maybe we should have you on the show next year and we can talk about the challenges.
I'll be like a whole other human being.
Yeah, I mean, for the audience, we actually, before we started this conversation, we were jokingly saying, that a day is like a month and a month is like a year in startup
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm curious if you feel like there have been challenges and what you think building a startup means in terms of sacrifice.
Mm, mm. Nice question, Yasmin. um, Yeah, like I said, I would say we've been the last 3 months full on, full time working on them since we closed our round. So for me, fundraising was something that I'm used to. Pitching is something I'm used to. Answering investor questions is something I'm used to because that's what I was doing previously. But I would say it's been 3 months of just running operations and starting up, hiring a team. Um, and definitely the last 3 months like feel like 3 years, I would say, in terms of experience, in terms of challenges, the ups and downs. um, what I would say about starting up your own thing is, yes, there are sacrifices. There are things, you might sacrifice time with family, you might have to sacrifice any kind of personal time too. But for me, just the joy of working through a vision that we all believe in, me, my co-founder, my team, I think that's what keeps us strong and excited. I mean, I'm super excited to go to work every day. I'm super excited to meet with the team, to talk about the challenges, to find solutions. Is it hard? It's extremely hard, but it's so rewarding. It's so empowering. Um, and it's so humbling. Like, I have a really close group of friends who are all female entrepreneurs. And one friend of mine, she's like, yeah, I get, I thought, like, I'm like, what advice would you give a new entrepreneur? And I thought, like, she'll tell me something that is that will make me feel better. And she said, just be ready to like beg people, just be ready to be humble. And I'm like, oh, what does she mean? And now once you're on it, so you can go from like being the delivery girl, like delivering the product to the customer, to like, talking to a bank, to trying to get a sales pitch going. So I would say it's a very humbling experience, definitely.
And how do you deal with challenges that you don't have the answers to? Like, how do you navigate that? Is there something that you do to sort of keep you, um, what's the word, grounded or emotionally balanced and stable? Because I think that's the question that also comes up a lot when people have to deal with these, like you said, situations, from talking to the bank about something or hiring new people, and how do you kind of stay grounded through that? Do you have any kind of techniques, or do you feel like you've done a lot of that kind of work, um, in earlier scenarios in life?
I think there are two sides to this. The first side is definitely the experience part of it. So if I did the same thing 10 years ago, I would be, I mean, crumbling right now in terms of stress or uncertainty. But of course, the experience you come with in your career, the ups and downs. So I went from, running a construction company that we had major cash flow problems, where I had to negotiate with suppliers, bankers, employees, to having very difficult investor meetings previously in my career. So, of course, the experience of that just makes you more rigid, like have a thicker skin. So you do realize that it's not gonna all hell, break hell loose. I don't know what's the expression actually. It's
All
not
hell
gonna
breaks
all
loose. Yeah.
exactly that one. You sort of have a faith that things will work out if you work hard, and that comes from experience. The other part of it, and when we were setting the vision with the team, and one of my motto in life is you have to be comfortable with the uncertainty around you. Meaning, if you want to grow, if you want to create in this life, you have to go through uncertain times. So if you feel balance and comfort, even in uncertain times, then that's how you will be able to create. So definitely, I mean, the uncertainty you feel on a daily basis is very high, but you work hard, you're curious, you trust your team, you trust your idea, and you'll find the balance through it. And the third of it is also, it's in our values as Valeo, is to take care of somebody, or for us to take care of our users and their well-being, we have to take care of our own well-being. So our health coaches actually also work with our employees to make sure that each one is learning about their body, learning about themselves, and trying to live a healthier life. And with me, for example, after all these years, I do have, for example, meditation. It's extremely important. Every morning I wake up, I set my intention for the day, I meditate, I stretch, I eat very clean, I sleep a lot. So sleep is extremely important. I try to have 7-8 hours of sleep per night, and of course work with my health coach always. And especially the last 3 months, I knew that we had just launched. I knew I needed to be strong physically and mentally. So my focus was either Valeo or me as my physical and mental health.
Wow. That's so empowering and so beautiful. And I love that everyone internally is using the product.
Yes,
um,
yes. We don't want to
that's,
have
yeah.
burnt out employees for a well-being company.
Yes. Just so you're walking your talk. I love
Mm,
that.
mm.
Um, well, so Nadine, we are wrapping up. We've come to time, but I wanted to, and I feel like we could talk for hours, because I also genuinely love the well-being space, and I also am very curious to learn more about your journey. So we'll have to have you back on the show, maybe after
Sure.
some more time has passed,
Maybe a
so we could
success
talk a little bit.
story.
Yes, maybe version 2 of the product or version 3 of the product as well. But before we wrap up, I wanted to ask what book you are either reading right now or what book has left an impression on you.
Mm. Um, where I'm reading right now, I would say I'm reading a book called Hooked, which is about how you can, create a product, or what are the important features in a product to hook the user. That's more. I always have a business book and like a personal book I'm reading. And right now, the business book I'm reading is that one. And I listen to podcasts, always listen to your podcast, other, how I built this, Master of Scale. Just, I feel there's so much information out there, and people that have experienced things, are genuinely putting it out there. So listening to them has always been very helpful. Um, and in terms of a personal book that really shifted me, I would say A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So coming from now being a founder of a well-being app, I think definitely I feel that book shifted me as a person and the way I see the world.
Amen. I love that book too.
Yeah, he is great.
Yes, yes. It's so interesting how once you change your orientation and perspective, you can just have this incredibly, higher range of awareness, and seeing how patterns come together, how people, act, what they need, getting connected to your intuition. I think Eckhart Tolle is like a powerhouse when it comes to that. So thank you so much, Nadine. And where can people find you? Where can they find more information about Valeo? Where can they connect with you?
Sure, definitely on LinkedIn. So please add me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect, and download our app. We're on the App Store and the Android Store, and just write Valeo Wellbeing, Valeo, and download.
Excellent. And what do you have any plans for expansion outside of UAE for the remaining of 2021, or still TBD?
I think 2021, maybe not, but 2022, beginning of 2022, definitely.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, great. Well, Nadine, thank you so much for your time. And for our audience, thanks for joining and for listening to Startup Confessionals.